My name is Mariah Washington, and I attend Sauk Valley College. I am also an intern at Community TV Network. Throughout my years working at CTVN, I've had the pleasure to team up with two more wonderful interns, Ronnie Voss and Mario Rivera. Working together, we have explored many different issues that teens face, one in particular, which is mental health. We decided to create a documentary pertaining to mental health. We also found out that people that we have been around for the past few weeks have dealt with these problems personally or have family that have dealt with these problems, and here's what they have to say.
Mental health is to me, it's being healthy, with your thoughts and the way you feel, just.
When I first think of mental health or I first hear the word mental health, I think of someone suffering with schizophrenia or someone dealing with depression.
Do you think it's hard to help people with these conditions?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Do you think it's hard? Yeah, I think it's hard. Because you don't really know. It's even hard to get the person to admit that they have a problem. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are quiet about it. But to treat them people with depression, you gotta be really careful. How you treat them and everything. What kind of medication you take, or what kind of medication you give them, because it could give you side effects, bad side effects.
Statistics show that majority of youth suffer from some form of mental health issues. To find out more information, we decided to interview professionals and youth who deal with mental health.
I think some of the most common that we see are depression, major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety disorders. We see that a lot. Those seem to be kind of chronic mental illnesses, although some are more manageable than others. Major depressive disorder is definitely more manageable, for example, than schizophrenia.
When someone appears to be different than us, we may view him or her in a negative stereotype manner. This is called stigma. Stigma is a reality for people with mental illness, and they report how others judge them. This is one of the greatest barriers to complete a satisfying life.
If someone is experiencing mental illness and they're ashamed of it and embarrassed, and their family is not understanding and is not supportive, it's going to be really difficult for them to find help. And when you have an untreated mental illness, you're much more likely to experience homelessness, participation in some way or form in the criminal justice system.
Why do you think it's so hard for people with these illnesses to talk about their problems?
I think it's hard because they don't think that people understand them, or they don't think that people will really understand how it all triggered off, or they'll think that something's wrong with them. They think that they're crazy.
Most of the time they do want the help. It's just they feel that they can't talk to mom or dad. They fear that if they talk to mom is going to think they're crazy. Nobody wants to say anything to the neighbor. Everything is hush hush. It's the stigma. You can't go see a psychiatrist because you're labeled as crazy. So, they don't want the neighbor to find out, the cousin to find out, and they don't realize how this could affect them in the long run.
Do you think people are often violent or dangerous?
I don't think they're violent. You just gotta know how to be when you're around them. Because, if you could, control what you do around them so that way they don't, think violently or become, a dangerous, in a dangerous stage, then they should be good. But, it just all depends on, the environment, and how you treat them.
People aren't dangerous who are mentally ill. It's not a correct statement, it's a myth.
While creating our documentary, we have met some wonderful and outspoken people. Even though most people that have dealt with the mental issues or live with people that deal with these problems are afraid to speak out about them, there are some that are very open and willing to share their problems.
Has anybody here ever had experience with depression, or a period of their life where they felt really, really sad about themselves?
I haven't, but my sister has, and I didn't know about it until the spring. She felt really depressed for basically her whole high school career, and I didn't notice it because I think of it, she was always like a happy person. Like I had gone on this, school retreat, and she had given a speech saying how she was, depressed, and she felt suicidal at times. When I found out, it kind of like made me realize like what have I been doing to help her? I haven't done anything because I didn't know. If I felt like I knew, I would have helped her more, or like just talk to her, like listen to what she wanted to get off her mind.
My mom, she has depression because of when my grandmother got sick, my mom had to take care of her, and so my grandma died, and so my mom thought I feel like she believed it was her fault because she did everything she could, but my grandma was too sick.
We are also interested in how the community and the environment affects our youth.
The environment in which you live, I think, has a lot to do with the safety and overall well-being of youth today. But that doesn't mean that if you live in a poorer community, for example, or a more violent community, you are more likely to have mental health issues, but it certainly is a factor.
Mental illness doesn't discriminate with race or whether you're rich or poor. I mean, it just strikes 1 out of every 4 individuals.
My family, like, they weren't born in this country. You know, my dad is from Mexico, and the rest of my family is from Italy, and they don't want to see, they don't go to therapy, for like, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them in that house had depression because like they kind of had a rough childhood. Everybody's all grown. Nobody wants to go out no more. Nobody wants to just enjoy life. Everybody's always miserable, always screaming all the time. So, and then I always wondered, like, well, I mean, do they have depression or is, but, yeah, I think too, like, my dad, with his whole culture, like, my dad he never believed in, like, going to the doctors or have somebody, like, treat him. My dad always thought that he could cure, like, his problems himself. Like, and I think a lot of Hispanics are like that, they don't want to go to the doctors or anything. They just believe that, I mean, it's all in yourself, that you can cure yourself without help.
In our research, we also discovered that youth with mental health issues often resort to alcohol or drug abuse, hoping that it would help with their problem.
A lot of the problems with the youth is also the alcohol and the drugs. They want to feel better, so they self-medicate. I think they want to feel that emptiness that they feel and that maybe attention they lack and peer pressure. If they feel that they get attention somewhere and they're going to feel good about it with the drugs and alcohol, that's what they do. But what they don't realize is that the depression will set in after the alcohol is gone and out of their system. I think as teenagers it's very difficult, but I think you should know that if you're feeling lonely or you feel like you have you feel like you don't want to live anymore, you have low self-esteem, I think if a friend tells you that you're always sad, I think you should listen. Listen and go see a social worker, a counselor at your school. I think it's very important that parents look for early intervention and they go to seek therapy when they're, younger children, because it usually triggers off when they're adolescents, when they're older. And so I think if they look for early intervention, I think that definitely helps. And if you're ever diagnosed, at least if you're in a classroom, you always have the option to walk out of class and go see that social worker. Because high schools have this. I mean, these are services that they provide for the adolescents.
Several people we talked to stressed on how important it is to speak out and look for help.
No matter how old or young you are, if you feel like, there's something bothering you, you should either talk to your parents or, go to a clinic and get treated for it because,
I mean, it's always somebody that'll help you. Like, it's never a time where someone can't, because there's always someone there or someone just like you. And I think that's what people need to understand, that there's always someone there to help you, even if it's just a close friend or a doctor or something like that. Like, you can always get your feelings out to the point where you don't have to feel suicidal or a point where you have to feel sorry for yourself.
You can be very successful and have a functional life if you receive family support, stay on your medication, do not mix with drugs or alcohol, and go to therapy or get involved with group therapy. But definitely they should be in therapy.
I think the power of support groups and sitting next to your peers, people who are dealing with the same issues, can be incredibly powerful and gratifying and soothing. I also think talking to a professional, somebody who's trained to deal with these particular issues, is helpful, and I think that the marriage between the two can be a wonderful treatment for people.
While working on this film, we've learned a lot about mental health issues faced by youth. Most importantly, we've learned how crucial it is to speak out about any issues you may have. Talk to your parents, teachers, counselors, or anyone else that you trust.
We need people to stop being afraid of mental illness or stigmatizing mental illness. And I think that that comes with awareness and education. Whenever you educate people with the correct information, you can kind of eliminate some of those stereotypes.